Nigeria, a land of immense potential, blessed with fertile soils and abundant natural resources. Yet, the persistent poverty of its people is not a result of scarcity but rather a consequence of deliberate design by those in power. This is the story of how poverty has been weaponized against the citizens of this great nation. In a country where resources abound, why are so many Nigerians forced to scrounge for basic necessities? The reality is stark. The Nigerian state has, for far too long, maintained a stranglehold on power through the subjugation of its people. Poverty is not just a condition, it's a tool used to control the masses. The roots of this problem lie in the priorities and vision, or rather the lack thereof, of Nigeria's leadership. Instead of harnessing the country's wealth to uplift the people, the ruling class prioritizes their own interests. Nigerians have been reduced to mere pawns in a game of political dominance, where the survival of the populace is secondary to the preservation of power. The consequences are painfully evident. The palliative distribution system, meant to provide relief, has become a spectacle of humiliation. Citizens are reduced to animals scooping rice with sand, while the elite flaunt their wealth. The inflation rate rises, food prices skyrocket, and yet the solutions remain out of reach. At the center of this dynamic are the political gladiators, individuals who wield influence and control over the electoral process, not through genuine leadership or public service but through manipulation, intimidation, and deceit. Their most insidious tactic: exploiting the vulnerabilities of hungry and disgruntled youths. These young individuals, often marginalized and struggling, are not inherently predisposed to political manipulation. But hunger and desperation can make even the most principled individuals vulnerable. Politicians are acutely aware of this and capitalize on it. By keeping these young people disenfranchised and dissatisfied, they ensure a ready pool of individuals who, for a pittance, can be swayed to do their bidding. During elections, these youths are recruited, given paltry sums, and directed to engage in acts that undermine the democratic process: ballot rigging, voter intimidation, and the suppression of legitimate votes. Who is responsible? The very politicians who exploit these youths are the ones who have, for years, contributed to the conditions that make exploitation possible. By fostering a system where economic opportunities are scarce, where education is substandard, and where corruption reigns, they keep communities impoverished and fragmented. The erosion of Nigeria's entrepreneurial spirit is another consequence of this deliberate impoverishment. Businesses are forced to shoulder the burden of providing basic services, like reliable power supply. This stifles economic growth and perpetuates a vicious cycle of dependence and disillusionment. The statistics paint a bleak picture. Access to credit, the lifeblood of a thriving economy, is severely limited. Nigerian banks offer loans at interest rates that make meaningful investment nearly impossible. The result is a stagnant economy where the majority are relegated to precarious forms of self-employment, just to eke out a living. The current government rules like a dictatorship. Peaceful protesters exercising their civil rights face the threat of being killed, arrested, or thrown into jail. This crackdown on dissent is yet another tactic to keep the population subdued. Nigeria's best and brightest are fleeing. Rather than being a land of opportunity, Nigeria has become a place to escape from. This brain drain only deepens the country's woes, as it loses the very people needed to drive transformative change. As a result, disenfranchised youths become both the byproduct and the tool of political corruption. The tactics employed by political gladiators are deliberate and calculated. By siphoning resources away from essential services and hoarding wealth, they create an environment of dependency. Come election time, they tap into this manufactured desperation, offering money and false promises to those who have little choice but to comply. Ironically, the funds used to mobilize these youths come from the very public coffers that the politicians have depleted. In every local government area, across the land, this cycle of disenfranchisement and manipulation repeats itself. Through these actions, politicians ensure that poverty and dependency, enabling them to maintain power unchecked. It's time to confront the harsh realities of our circumstances. It is time to end this exploitation. We must address the root causes of Nigeria's struggles: poverty, lack of education, and economic disenfranchisement, issues that have long been ignored or exacerbated by politicians. Getting the youths out of the streets and empowering them with skills, opportunities, and a voice in the political process would strip these gladiators of their most potent weapon. Informed and empowered youths will dismantle the structures that allow these political gladiators to maintain their grip on power. Only through collective action and sustained effort can we break the cycle of political manipulation and build a more just, equitable society. Only then can Nigeria truly unlock its immense potential and reclaim its rightful place as a beacon of prosperity and progress in Africa. Join us in this fight for a better Nigeria. Follow us, share this message, and be part of the change. Together, we can reclaim our future.